What is the secret to unlocking your full potential? What makes your idols any different than you? How do you become the person you've always wanted to be in life? This is where you get all of your questions answered. My name is Justin Shank, and I sit down with some of the most epic individuals who are changing the world with their actions in business and in life. We discuss how they did it, why they pushed themselves, and more importantly, how they were able to focus on continuous growth to achieve their dreams. Welcome to the Growth Now movement. This week, I sit down with WWE superstar Jinder Mahal. Born with the name Yuvraj Singh Dhesi, Raj is a Canadian professional wrestler currently signed to WWE, where he performs on the SmackDown brand under the ring name Jinder Mahal. Having begun his career on the independent circuit, he joined WWE in 2010, making his debut on the company's main roster the following year. After a short-lived alliance with his storyline brother-in-law, the Great Khali, Mahal formed the group 3MB with fellow wrestlers Heath, Slater, and Drew McIntyre before both Mahal and McIntyre were released from the company in June 2014. Mahal returned to WWE 2 years later with a dramatically improved physique and received a push following WrestleMania 33, culminating in a win over Randy Orton at Backlash in May of 2017 for the WWE Championship. Mahal thus became the 50th WWE Champion in the history of the WWE. And in this interview, we talk about that. We talk about what it was like to be released from your dream job, essentially, and then what it took to scrape and claw to get back. We discuss not only the mindset needed to be a champion, but we talk about the actions you need to take every single day to solidify your name in the history books. This is something that relates to wrestling, this relates to business, and this relates to life. This episode is an absolute game changer, and I'm honored to sit down with Raj and talk about it. Now, without further ado, let's get into the episode with Jinder Mahal. Raj, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, something fun about me that I don't get to talk to too much about on this show is the fact that I'm a huge wrestling fan. I have been my whole life. And, you know, just kind of getting into the wrestling world a little bit, because I think it's an intriguing business, right? You guys become larger than life characters on television. You're insane athletes. You're doing all this stuff. But why don't we start with where you are today, man? How you feeling? How's the recovery going? Because you just recently got injured.
Yeah, everything is well. Recovery is going good. About 7 weeks ago, I had a patella tendon rupture repair. So everything is good. I had my 6 weeks post-op surgery. Everything's looking good. I'm ahead of schedule on rehab. Just at the moment, I'm just doing rehab Monday to Friday, working out, staying fit, watching lots of tape study and seeing what's going on, and thinking of new ideas of what kind of storylines I can have when I come back. Because like you mentioned before, the wrestling business is unlike anything else. Not only are we athletes, but it's like a live soap opera or like any like HBO series you have. We have storylines and everything. So just in my mind, I'm thinking already of who I can have a storyline when I come back, who I wanna work, who I wanna wrestle with. So it's the first time I've actually had a break in as long as I've been in WWE. This is the first major injury that I have, first surgery that I had. So the first couple of weeks it was nice to get a break, but now I'm, missing being in the mix because we have an insane travel schedule. Usually we travel domestically. We do about 4 or 5 shows a week, year round, no off season. Plus we go overseas, all the time to Europe, basically all over the world, whether in Japan, South America, South Africa, India, you name it, we go there. And, I'm really starting to miss it, and I'm starting to get a little bit bored at home because just for the longest time, I've been, on the go always. So, just at home recovering.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine the certain mindsets you can get into from traveling, going nonstop to almost being at a standstill, right? And just every day, literally going to rehab, which is not fun whatsoever. I've broken some stuff in my body when I was younger. Rehab is not fun. It's painful. It really is all about pushing yourself and pushing through the pain in order to kind of create a stronger body. So what are you doing right now to stay mentally prepared as far as, hey, like at some point you're going back? Do you know the time frame of going back?
Yeah, it's kind of rough. It's anywhere between 3 to 5 months, but I'm actually really enjoying rehab because I find challenges in rehab. Every week I want to see improvements, and I can see improvements. So just like working out, or just like WWE, like you work hard and you see a result. So it's it's actually a good feeling for me. And just a lot of stuff that I haven't done in years, like for instance, like the balance board, and just through this whole rehab process, I think I'm going to come back just like overall better athlete. And I'm at home now, and I can cook all my meals. Whereas on the road, I do pack my meals with me on the road, but there's a lot more temptation. So I plan on coming back in like the best shape that I've ever been in. And I'm actually enjoying the process, and just setting goals for myself, which is really important. And just crushing everything that I do every day, whether it's diet or rehab. Actually, now I can start to do cardio a little bit on the bike.
Nice.
So I'm excited for that. That's a big step for me, because for the first 6 weeks, my leg was in a fixed position. It was locked straight. So that was a little bit hard. But then the challenge was for me every day at rehab, they would bend my leg and see how many degrees it's bending. So that was like the challenge for me to how long till I get to 90, and how long I can get to 100 degrees. And so that's what basically I'm looking forward to now. It's the same mindset as I had before, whether the same mindset that I took into matches or title matches or my working out or my fitness. It's the same mindset that I have now, just gearing it towards the rehab.
Yeah, and the cool part about you, and people can hear you now, and people who don't know your story, they hear you talking about eating healthy, working out, being the fittest I've ever been in my life. But what they might not realize is that you've kind of got a crazy story of you got into the WWE at a young age, and kind of were a mid card type of person on that show with 3MB and all the other fun stuff. And then you left and then came back, and you look like a completely different person. Like, what was the shift in what you were doing from who you were then and who you are now? Is it the commitment? Is it the workouts? What is it?
Yeah, it's everything. So yeah, you're right. I did start at WWE at a young age. I was 23 and I was on television already, touring all over the world with SmackDown Live. Basically, I didn't have time to really grow up. I went from being a college student to being thrown, right on TV, traveling the world, making good money, and everyone wants to hang out. And there was a lot of temptations around me, and obviously just being immature, I fed into those temptations. I was out every night, basically doing what an athlete shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't resting, so therefore I wasn't training hard, I wasn't dieting, and therefore where I was, you mentioned I was in the lower to mid card. That was because of the effort that I was putting in. Had I been putting, like that main event work ethic, I'm sure I would have been in the main event. But it was where I was on the card. It was a direct result of the effort that I was putting in. And sometimes I didn't know it at this time. Like sometimes you play victim, like oh, I'm in the lower to mid card, so I'm going to act like this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to act, or your mindset has to be where you want to be, not in vice versa. If you act like a main event star, you treat yourself like a top level athlete, you train like one, you diet like one, you rest like one, you're going to be one. So I was released from the WWE when I was 27, came back when I was 29, and it's never been done before. After being released, 10 months before coming back after being released, I was WWE world heavyweight champion. That's no small feat. I was the 50th ever champion. So there's right now, Kofi is number 51 in the history of the championship. I believe it's 56 years. So only 51 men have ever held that championship. So there's a lot of prestige in that championship. And I know wrestling is predetermined, but when you win that championship and it's something you've worked your whole life towards and dreamt as a child and did so much tape study and traveled the road and spent so many hours training and everything, that moment is very, very real.
Yeah. And I love how you talk about that, like how you earn where you are. Right. And so I say all the time, you are exactly where you chose to be. Like, you can't complain about what's happening in your life because you made the choices to be there, right? But there's so much victim stancing. There's so much why me or woe is me or whatever. And you're the perfect example. And people can take what you've done in the WWE into business, into life, because you worked your butt off, got yourself into physical shape, worked on your skills in the ring, worked on the microphone, and you became WWE champion. It's the same thing in business and life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, not just doing the bare minimum that's required, because if you get the bare minimum that's required, you're not going to step it up to the next level. That's just not going to happen. You have to, you have to do the things that other people aren't willing to do, and then you'll surpass those other people. Yeah, just a lot of what I've learned in the WWE definitely translates into real life. And anybody can take my story or my journey, or things that I've the changes that I've made, and implement them into their life, and they're going to start to see better results, whether it's even in their personal life, their relationships, just putting in the effort, and doing the small things, because those small things, they make a big difference. Like, for instance, I can give you my routine, like on the road. So I leave my house usually Saturday morning, and I have to wrestle Saturday night. So, with me, I take a Yeti cooler bag. I freeze 3 days worth of food, 4 meals a day. So 12 meals I have with me. I check the big cooler bag. I have all my meals with me. Right when I land, I find a gym, check into a hotel, train, do the show, come back straight to bed, not out, not socializing, and it actually saves me a lot of time and effort, because I have my meals with me. We finish the show, and come right back to the room, sleep. Next day, travel, wrestle, gym, same thing. And then for 3 days we do live events, and then come right now I'm on SmackDown, so it's Tuesday or it's Monday. We do the TV taping there. We have catering all day, and that's our big day. We're there, if it's on the East Coast, we're there in the afternoon around 2 p.m. If it's on the West Coast, we're there at noon, and we don't get out of the building till the show is over at night. So those are long days, and again, just working hard and focusing. Now that I'm getting older, I'm 33 now. I've been to all these cities, all these countries so many times, and it's weird. Like, I've been in WWE almost, I guess, 10 years plus the 2 years that I was away.
Right.
I still feel like I'm new, and I might be, like one of the older wrestlers now, but it's weird. I still feel like I'm new, and
what
I think because it still excites me so much, and it's just like unbelievable to think like where I started. When I started wrestling, when I first started training, I was 15. I've been wrestling regularly, like every week since I was 18. So now I'm 33. And, like I used to wrestle in front of like even like 10, 15 people, 20 people. To think, I started at that. Yeah, to start at that level and work my way up. First, I grew up in Canada, in Calgary, started wrestling there. Then, I remember the first time I wrestled out of town. That seemed like such a big deal. I couldn't believe it, just traveling to a different city. Then I started wrestling all across Canada. Then, I moved to the States. So when I got signed, I had to move to Tampa, the developmental territory, which is now in Orlando. It used to be in Tampa. So I moved here. Again, started in the farm leagues, like wrestling in front of like 20 people, sometimes 100. If it was a couple hundred people, it was like a big show. To working my way onto SmackDown, and then I had a U.S. title match. I won the United States Championship at WrestleMania last year in New Orleans. I believe like 70 or 80,000 people. So I've wrestled in a couple WrestleManias, and in Saudi Arabia we had the Super Showdown. That was a huge arena, maybe 60, 70,000 people. I wrestled in India before, outside of WWE, when I was away, like same thing, 60, 70,000 people. So
wow.
To think that I came from like nothing. I started at zero, and just through hard work and not giving up. That's the main thing. Like, at any point, I could have just given up. Even like when I got released a couple years back, I could have just given up, and I was actually very close to. So you were mentioning what change took place, and that was exactly the change. I was away from WWE. So once you're in WWE, after you go away, you can still kind of ride, you have a little bit of popularity. You've been on TV. People still want to see you. And I didn't do a very good job of keeping myself relevant, through social media, stuff like this. I was just kind of just used that and just kind of coasted for a little while without putting in any effort. And, my wrestling appearances were starting to go down a little bit. And the money was starting to go down a little bit. So I was, at the crossroads, like, okay, I might need to do something else with my life.
Yeah.
At that time, I was like 28, 29 years old. And just one day, and I was actually I was partying all the time. I didn't care. Like I put zero effort into wrestling. I was way out of shape. And then just the realization that, okay, I might have to do something else. I might have to do something that I don't really want to do, because all I've wanted to do is wrestle. Like, I don't want to be anything else. I don't want to go back to school. I was actually looking into starting a business, like running a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in my life, that's not what I wanted to do. I was still young enough, and I felt like I had a lot of regrets. I felt like I didn't put in all my effort, all the effort that I should have when I was in WWE. Just having all those regrets and everything. So, I said, if I have another chance with WWE, I'm going to give it 100%. And just one day, randomly, I just started dieting, stopped drinking completely. I still haven't drank since then, and it's been 3.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, just dedicated
was
myself.
Was that a conscious thing? Like, I can never drink again? Or you were just
no, it wasn't even. One day I just stopped. I just didn't feel like, I just stopped. And then I just felt so good. And then good things started slowly happening. So to the, literally to the day, 2 months after I made that change, just randomly, WWE called me back to come back at that time. So when I started with WWE, there was a separate Raw roster and there was a separate SmackDown roster. And then while I was there, everybody got mixed. There was no separate rosters anymore. Mm-hmm. So they were going to bring back the separate rosters after being away for 2 years. And then they needed some guys to fill roster space that they can throw on television right away that already had experience. Because sometimes you sign new guys and they got to go through the developmental system, because a lot goes into being a WWE superstar. You got to know where the cameras are and how the commercial breaks work. And there's so much stuff that people don't know that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, you could wrestle on some of the grandest stages and still not know how to wrestle in WWE. It's completely different.
Exactly. Just knowing where the cameras are and timing and everything. So basically, they needed some people they can throw on right away on television, and I was one of those guys. I wasn't brought back to be world champion. I was actually just brought back to make so I can wrestle the younger guys and make them look good. So just when I came back, I wasn't in the best shape, but I had already started. I'd already started dieting and everything. So right when I got back, I just continued that. I actually turned it up even. It's just being around that atmosphere motivated me even more. I just turned it up to another level. And then slowly, I just got into I believe I was the best shape athlete WWE had at that time.
Which, when you think about it, I think a lot of times people in those circumstances, they go, I'm going to work my butt off to get back there. And then they kind of start to coast, right?
Yeah, that's what I didn't know the first time I was in WWE. You work so hard to get to a place and you think the work is done. But that's actually where the work starts. You thought it was hard to get there. It's way harder to stay at this level, and not just stay at this level, to improve, to make it to the top. Yeah, that's the mistake people make. It's like, I'm going to work this hard till I reach a goal, or till I get to a certain level. But you got to work just as hard, or if not harder, to stay at that level, and then to take it to the next level beyond that. That's a whole nother level, of work and commitment and effort that's required. So again, I was just brought back just to make the other guys look good, wrestle some of the new guys, which was fine. But I had all those regrets the time that I was there before, and I could have done the minimum work that was required. I could have just coasted, just done my thing, and got paid and got out of there. But learning from my mistakes that I made before, that wasn't an option. And I had actually started writing down my goals every day, which was like a huge breakthrough. And I actually used to write down, become a champion in WWE, but I made the mistake. I should have been writing down, become WWE champion. Like, at that point, I was just happy winning any championship.
Right.
Which was still a big step up. So that's another thing that I learned. When you set goals, aim high. I've actually read Grant Cardone's book 10X, And I'm a firm believer of that. Set such ridiculous goals that they're unachievable, because that is true. Once you meet a goal, your effort, it can go down, or you can start to coast. If you just keep setting goals that are unachievable and just put forth that relentless work ethic, even if you don't meet your goals, you still end up in a very, very good spot that you can be proud of.
Yeah, and you talk about writing down your goals. Do you feel like there's a correlation between writing them down instead of just thinking them?
No, yeah, absolutely. Because when you write them down, I believe like something goes on in your brain, something happens in your subconscious when you write them down. I used to write them down in the morning and at night. So in my subconscious, all my actions are leading towards that goal. Whether I'm about to eat something, in my subconscious, I think, is this going to be good for me? Is this getting me closer to my goal, or is it getting me further to my goal? And then like something like dieting or working out every day or doing cardio, it doesn't become a challenge. It just becomes a routine. Like all my actions are geared towards that goal. So definitely, I think just something about writing it down is weird. Like I did some research, and like all the top CEOs, like a lot of top athletes, a lot of top businessmen, they all have one thing in common, and that's writing down goals. I don't know what it is, but it works for me, and I'm going to keep doing it.
No, for sure. And so, you're talking a lot about self-development beyond just your body. You're talking about getting your mind right and focusing and daily rituals. Where did that begin? Was that always something that was kind of there, or is that something you picked up at the same time you started picking up all these other good physical habits?
So I picked up, I didn't know nothing about mind development and, positive thinking and all that. Just randomly, I just started hanging around like positive people and watching some YouTube videos, like Eric Thomas, E.T. I would watch him on YouTube just randomly, like C.T. Fletcher. I would just watch his workout videos and just hit him just saying, like, commanding his biceps to grow. That's how I initially got turned on to it. And then I started listening to Eric Thomas. He kind of like changed my life.
Yeah. He's amazing. Yeah, I just saw him speak at an event, and I was blown away.
Yeah, through him, like I just randomly discovered him just through YouTube. I think I was watching like workout motivational videos, and his voice was playing in the background. One of his speeches. I think it was the the one in the water where he goes, when you want to live as when you want to breathe as bad as that's when you'll be successful. It was that one. And just through him, then I started getting into books, Grant Cardone's books. I started listening to podcasts like Ed Milet and Andy Frisella, the MFCO project. I think that change happened before the physical change happened. Like that, it was weird. I just got enlightened all of a sudden. Like for years, I didn't know that this stuff exists. I was just, living the victim mentality, just being happy where I was, content, not striving for more. And listening to stuff like that, it really opened up my brain to like a whole other world. And I started thinking like limitless, like there's no limit to what I can achieve, obviously through hard work, as long as I'm willing to put in the effort and still the good habits and stay away from things that will keep me away from my goal. Because obviously, I'm a human being. There's temptation. When you wrestle for WWE, everybody's your friend. Everybody wants you at their after hours restaurant, bar, this and that. There's a party here, there's a party there. These people want to hang out. These girls want to hang out. Those temptations are around me nonstop. And just having the discipline to say no. Discipline is a huge thing. Is if you don't have discipline, those goals are not going to be achieved. It's once you become disciplined, anything is possible. I believe, and it's just a matter of how disciplined you want to be. If you have like like I just became obsessed. The word obsessed sometimes has a negative connotation to it. People think, oh, that person's obsessed, or that it's negative, but it's not. In order to achieve like insane things like becoming a WWE champion, you have to be obsessed. There's no way around it. You got to have that insane work ethic, and that all starts with the mindset, writing down the goals, and everything ties in. Because a lot of people just said, obviously, people who aren't enlightened yet, people who have the negative thoughts and everything, they're like, oh, you became WWE champion because Vince McMahon liked your body. No, yeah, Vince does see my body and he sees the change, but that change is a reflection of my work ethic.
Yes.
You know, it's a reflection of my dedication. It's a reflection of my commitment, my discipline. So those things, obviously, you know, they go a long, long way, as in any business. You know, if you're looking to do business with someone, you know, that person is, if you're late for a meeting or, you know, your physical appearance is sloppy, chances are it's going to be a hindrance. You know, but if you come early, you know, you come dressed to impress, you know, you come prepared, you know, that person will want to do business with you.
Isn't it funny how people talk about you when you haven't reached the success in a negative way, and then you reach the success and then they start talking about you in a negative way? Like, oh, it's just because of your body, or it's just because of this or that or whatever, right? Like, I know with you, you know, I've seen the progression because I am a fan of the product. There was a lot of, oh, it's because they're going to India, or oh, it's
Yeah,
this, right?
but these people don't realize when I got released, they weren't going to India. They've always been in India. They've been in India since I was Indian when I got released. I was Indian when I was in 3MB. I hear all of it, but it's okay. I know when to silence the noise, and I know who to listen to. I know whose opinions matter. And you know, it's just a validation. Anybody who's doing successful things, if you Google LeBron James, more people will say he sucks at basketball than you'll see people saying he's the best.
It's true.
That's just the way it is. Like no one talks about people who aren't doing anything. You know, people only, you know, people throw stones at things that shine. You know, it's so that's another skill that you learn. You know, you got to learn to you know, silence the noise, or even better yet, use it as motivation. You know, let that fuel you. Let people's doubt fuel you. You know, you can. That's something that fueled me. You know, just that me getting released like that really ticked me off. And then, you know, I could have played victim and like, oh, you know, blamed it on someone else. Oh, the creative, you know, they didn't have anything for me, or oh, you know, oh, they just didn't use me the right way, or I didn't have a chance to show my skills. I could have easily just used that excuse, but I used that to fuel me. Yeah. And, you know, I wasn't going to be ignored this time. You know, if you make enough noise, you know, you're going to get noticed. And then that's another mistake people do. They say, you know, I'm going to try for a month. I'm going to try for 3 months and, you know, see if anything happens. You can't put a timeline to it. You can't set a date. You know, you just have to go all in, and then whenever it happens, it happens. And, you know, there's a lot of people quit like right as something good's about to happen. You know, you can't take your foot off the gas. You know, if anything, you gotta put in more effort, and you know, just don't put like a time to it. Don't put an expiration date on your effort or on your goal, or, you know, if I don't make it by this, you know, I'm just gonna, you know, give up. You know, that's another mistake I think a lot of people make.
Yeah, no, and I love that message too, because I talk all the time about having your big vision, but the importance is in enjoying the journey, right? And just slowly getting better every single day, and realizing, hey, it might not happen overnight. It's definitely not going to happen in the time frame that you set for yourself. So just enjoy the process, and, you know, there's going to be ebbs and flows no matter what you do, right? So obviously, you finally reach the top in the WWE, become WWE champion, and now you're injured, and now it begins the climb again, and hopefully you get the momentum of, hey, he's been gone for a really long time. What great things can we do for him when he comes back? And that'll kind of be exciting to see. Now, obviously, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about now, it translates, and we already talked about this briefly, but it translates into life too. It translates into business. Are there other things you're working on outside of the WWE for yourself that are exciting you at all?
Yeah. I'm going to be launching my own CBD line soon. I want to eventually launch my own supplement line, or you know, I know my the majority of my career has already passed me in WWE. I'm 33 now. I just signed another 5-year contract with WWE. You know, this may be my last full-time contract that I signed. So I'm already thinking of, you know, what am I going to do next? The things that interest me are like working out or exercise or nutrition, and I would love to go into that direction. And just like recovery, that's another thing that I've gotten really big into. Just as I'm getting older, I never used to even stretch before matches, but now, you know, I'm really getting into the recovery, and, you know, just gaining more knowledge on how I can extend my career, and thinking a lot, putting a lot of thought into you know, what the next chapter is. And actually, while I was away from WWE for the 2 years, I started getting into rehabbing homes and having investment properties and flipping houses. So, you know, that's another thing that really interests me. Like all the time when I'm in hotels, I'm watching HGTV. I'm just naturally drawn to real estate and rehabbing homes. And,
Yeah.
you know, I would love to, you know, invest my money. And that's another thing that I've learned discipline of, it is saving my money. You know, I have all these temptations. You know, I want to buy this car and that car and have this and that. You know, that takes a lot of discipline too. For me right now, that I'm learning is to say no. You know, I gotta save my money, and I gotta invest it into the right way, and not worry about looking cool on social media. You know, because are putting on that facade. That's another thing that I believe like a lot of athletes struggle with, or especially with social media now. I know everybody wants that instant gratification. Everybody wants to look cool on Instagram and everything. And a lot of people are faking it. But, you know, that's another thing that takes a lot of discipline is, you know, not, you know, portraying a false image, something like that. That's what basically my thoughts are right now, is just saving my money right now, investing it for the future, rehabbing my body, because when I leave wrestling, I want to be healthy. I don't want to, I want to end my career on my terms. That's my goal. I don't want to be forced out because of an injury. Obviously anything can happen, but you know, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to prepare myself, and I'm going to educate myself on everything that I need to be doing so I can have a smooth transition after wrestling into the real world.
Yeah, not have those forever injuries that so many wrestlers carry around. But you could also be like 50 whatever Goldberg is and look good.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but it's just it's what you want to do. You know, it's what that passion is. You know, Goldberg's passion is wrestling. You know, he stayed in shape when he could have easily just became like a you know, a slob and done whatever and enjoyed. He had a very successful career for many years. But you know, Goldberg is motivation for all of us. Like in the back, you know, we see him at his age, and he's still in insane shape, and you know, his intensity and everything, and you know, he gets that crowd reaction. You know, Goldberg is a legend. You know, I would love to have a career like Goldberg's, and he did a really good job of transitioning, you know, using that popularity to do other things. I know he's had a couple TV shows with cars, and you know, those are just his passions. So like every day he wakes up and he gets to do what he loves. You know, that's the goal.
That's
But
awesome.
that's through a lot of hard work. You know, he was an NFL player before, which takes an insane amount of commitment, dedication, discipline, and everything. And then, you know, he was in WCW, which had an insane travel schedule. He stayed in shape. You know, he did whatever he had to do. You know, he stayed the course, stayed motivated. I'm sure he has an insane mindset. I'm sure he works. You know, he has an insane work ethic and everything. You know, and it's easy for people to make the excuse like, oh, you know, they're bringing this old guy back. But to see, you know, the shape he is and everything, you know, it's tremendous. And it definitely goes to show you his work ethic. And I'm sure he, you know, he sets goals and everything. And you know, he follows his passions.
You know, obviously with an insane daily rituals, and you know, you have 5 years left. You have 5 more years. Is it a 5-year extension or 5 more years from now with the WWE?
Yeah, 5 more years. And I just signed into my other contract expired, and I started a new one now.
Awesome. So
Yeah, it just started.
There's at least 5 more years of Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Hopefully there will be, because I do everything, you know, my body wise, train my mind, and you know, I've set goals, what I want to accomplish in these next 5 years, and you know, I'm gonna give it my all, you know, put in that work ethic that made me from being released, that brought me from being, you know, a released superstar to becoming world champion.
Yeah, and so if you had to paint the perfect picture over the next 5 years with your career in WWE, what would that look like?
I want to win the Intercontinental Championship and the Tag Team Championship, so I can be a Grand Slam champion. And then I would actually want to even wrestle till I'm 40. So maybe
Nice.
if I could squeeze out another 2 years after that, that would be a nice, a good career. And then, you know, who knows after that, maybe a producer backstage, along with doing some real estate and everything. You know, that would be the perfect picture for me. Sometime in the next 5 years, or after, start a family, and then, you know, focus on that and just do things that I enjoy.
That is absolutely amazing, man. And so, you know, when I look at you, obviously you've created this success out of rituals, hard work, dedication, you know, and really pushing yourself to great lengths. And one question I ask every single person is, what's your definition of success, and what are 3 things you do daily to ensure that success for yourself?
I think the definition of success is just being proud of yourself and being a positive influence to others, and being, and in this world, being like contributing more than I'm taking away. I want to motivate people, and I want to look back, and I want to be proud of myself for the things that I accomplished, and look back at where I started and what I have achieved. And that success, I mean, has so many. I don't put, like, a lot of people think it's monetary, or they put a money value on it, or having nice things. I don't think that's success to me. Success is just, because a lot of people have those things, but they're not happy with themselves. They're not proud of themselves. I think
Exactly.
just having pride in what you do, and being proud of who you've become, and even like looking forward to the future of accomplishing more, and impacting others, and influencing others. And through this WWE, in my community of Indians and Punjabis, I'm a big role model to so many. I never did I think that kids would look up to me, like, everywhere I go. Like, if I go back to Canada, where they have huge Indian population, or I went to India, just seeing the youth, and like them telling me like I've inspired them. Because when I grew up, if I watched TV, there was nobody on sports or anything that looked like me. And to think now that that the kids nowadays, they have such good role models in sports. Like me, for instance, there was a UFC fighter, first ever Indian. There was the first ever Indian drafted to NBA. It's just to think that when my parents came to Canada, I was born in Canada, like they literally came with nothing, and they just worked and worked. And that's kind of where I get my work ethic from. I have the immigrant work ethic built into me, just seeing my parents work so hard. And but it's cool. Like my legacy, will be played out 10 years from now, 20 years from now, from when those kids, now I just said there was the first WWE Indian champion, first UFC fighter. There's going to be a time when there's no more first. Like, it's just normal.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing to me. I want to give back to my community. I want to inspire the youth, and that's one of the most things that I'm proud of, is being the first ever WWE Indian world champion. And no, that's really, really big deal for me. And just meeting kids now, or every time I can, I talk to the youth, and just give them motivation, and tell them to set goals and achieve them. Because even myself, like, I felt a lot of pressure growing up. When you're Indian, you got to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, or this and that, engineer. But you have to do what you want to do. You have to follow your dreams, live your life, not someone else's. I think that's another thing a lot of people in my community struggle with. And through my story and my journey, you can be successful doing whatever you want to be, whatever you define, whatever your definition of success is. Follow your own journey, follow your own path, set your own goals, and then you'll live a life that you'll be happy with, and you can be proud of.
I love it, man. And obviously, being the first Indian WWE heavyweight champion, I mean, you're definitely paving the way for so many. It's one of those, hey, I can do it too moments. And that's huge, man. That's your legacy. And I applaud you for that. And that's got to feel really freaking good to be able to experience that. And so what are 3 things you do every single day to continue to ensure that success for yourself?
So write down goals. That's first and foremost. And I stay consistent on self-development study. I stay listening to podcasts, reading books, surrounding myself with positive people. And the third thing is, I tell myself every day that I'm limitless. I can achieve anything that I put my mind to. And and just setting those like insane goals. Even if I don't achieve them, it's no problem, because I'll still end up in a good place.
I love all of that, man. And I have a good friend in Nick Santonastasso who talks.
Yeah, I know Nick.
Oh, do you? Yeah. Well, he's in Tampa too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So he talks about being limitless and really kind of living your life to the fullest. And that guy's an inspiration to me and so many as well. And that's cool that you guys know each other. But yeah. So, dude, like, honestly, this conversation has been insanely inspiring. I know my audience is going to take a ton out of it. But how do people, if they are not already WWE fans, if they're not following you and they realize, hey, there's even more than just wrestling to this guy? How do they find you? How do they follow you? How do they follow you? How do they connect with you?
Yeah, the best place is my Instagram. It's at Jinder Mahal, so JinderMahal. I post a lot of what I'm doing, a lot of my workouts. So right now, I'm going to be posting a lot of my rehab and my recovery. That's a good place to start following me. And I've done a couple other podcasts. I've done Lillian Garcia's podcast, who you've had. I've done Chris Jericho's. I've done just did an episode of the BK Strength Show with Bedros Koulian.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, those are a good places to kind of check me out, and you can hear my story. And definitely my Instagram. So give me a follow.
Awesome, man. Guys, definitely go check him out. I love all of his posts. Super, super motivational. Now, Jinder, I wrap up all these episodes with one question, and that is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
Biggest moment of growth for me was getting hired by WWE, knowing that it was a second chance at redemption, and knowing all the mistakes that I have made in the past, and not playing victim, because all those mistakes that I made in the past, they could have weighed me down and I could have just played victim for the rest of my life. But getting that second chance and using those lessons. So a lot of failures in our life, a lot of mistakes that we make will actually benefit us in the long run. So just getting that call to come back and knowing that I'm going to be relentless, I'm going to give it my all, I think that was the biggest turning point in my life.
Awesome, man. I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom. And dude, congratulations on all the success. And I can't wait to see you come back and just do it all over again.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share my message. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Growth Now movement. This is how you can really help me out. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please share it out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And let's grow this movement to epic heights. And it's all going to be because of you guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.